Hello, my dear friends. This is Dr. Rakhi Mishra, who is working as an associate professor in Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Pharmacy Institute. So, today in my first lecture, I will discuss with you people the chromatography technique. Actually, when we talk about chromatography, we came to know the various terms known as thin layer chromatography, HPLC, column chromatography, ion exchange chromatography. But the thing is that before going in detail with each type of chromatography, we must be familiar about the terms chromatography. So what is the meaning of chromatography? Actually, in general, either of any type of chromatography, this chromatography technique is used for the separation of the compounds. Suppose we are having a mixture A, B, C, D, E, then we can separate these compounds with the help of chromatography. Why this name chromatography is given? Because it is made up of two words. The first word is chroma, that is a Greek word meaning color, and graphene means to write. Actually, initially or the first time this technique is used in 1900 era by a scientist known as M. Sweat, you can see here, who separate out with the help of this technique the different plant pigments. Plant pigments are colored in nature. So he give this name as chroma means color and graphene means to write. It is a collective term. Means chromatography, why it is a collective term? Because different types of chromatography are there. So this is a term which is used to denote a set of laboratory techniques, either different types of chromatography which is used for the separation of mixture. Why this word laboratory is written? Because this is the most common technique which can be used in your routine work, in your daily work, in your laboratory experiments, in your research work. Because every time, or means if you are doing a research, then in every minute or in every hour you can't use the expensive technique, like spectroscopy, X-ray diffraction study. So in that time, or at that time, you can use this chromatography. It is a collective term for a set of commonly used techniques, right? And it was first invented, as I told you, that by M. Sweat, who is a botanist, in 1906 in Warsaw. Okay, and basically this chromatography is used for the separation of compounds. And if a layman asks you that what are the different components of chromatography, means if I want to perform an experiment of chromatography, what types of things are there? The first thing which is very important is the stationary phase, right? Stationary phase is something on which you will perform the separation, right? But this separation is done with the help of mobile phase. Means you are having a sample, and if you want to separate different components of your sample, you have to first dissolve your sample in the mobile phase, and then this mobile phase is poured over the stationary phase at which separation occurs. No, it is not compulsion that separation occurs only on stationary phase, but with the help of mobile phase, you can achieve the separation of compounds into the stationary phase. It may be regarded as a method of separation in which you can see here separation occurs between a stationary and a mobile phase. So definition now can be, it may be regarded as a method of separating a mixture of components into individual components through equilibrium distribution between two phases. Equilibrium distribution between two phases means कि suppose the component is in mobile phase, then it will separate down between the mobile and stationary phase by maintaining a equilibrium, right? I will tell you, discuss this term later. It is based on the differences in the rate at which components of a mixture move through a porous medium. Now, what is here porous medium? This porous medium is what? This is the stationary phase. And how your components or how your sample is moving with the help of mobile phase. So till now what we have seen that chromatography is a technique used for the separation of a compounds, and in the components we came to know that the different components can be a mobile phase, okay, a stationary phase. Now, stationary phase is something that you will use, but for the stationary phase, you need a supporting medium, either in the form of glass plate, either in the form of column, right? Means with the help of these type of things you can fix your stationary medium. For example, if you are using a silica, then you have to fix that silica on some supporting medium. So chromatography is a technique which is used to separate and identify. It allows the molecule present in the mixture to distribute by between stationary and mobile. Chroma means color and graphene means to write. So if a layman asks you that what is a chromatography technique, what will be your answer? The answer will be it is a routine or it is a laboratory technique which can be used for the separation of components. And this technique is having two components mainly. The one is mobile phase, other one is stationary phase, right? The principle of working of every chromatography is different, but what will happen in each chromatography, that the components of a mixture distribute themselves between the two phases. The first phase is stationary and the second phase is mobile phase. This is the history. Sweat have discovered this technique because he's you can say separating the plant pigments. Then in 1931 carotenoids are separated. Then in 1938 TLC and ion exchange chromatography is used. In 1950 reverse phase. In 1954-59 gel permeation, and in 1965 instrumental liquid chromatography. So on the basis of what type of phase you are having, they can be known as solid, liquid, liquid, liquid. That I will discuss later. Okay, but in a very short form, if you want to discuss the introduction, then you should know what is chromatography. It is a separation technique. It is a collective term. It is having two components. It was discovered in 1903, and M. Sweat is the father of chromatography, and different types of stationary and mobile phases are used, and for supporting the stationary phase you need the supporting medium. This is just a very brief introduction. I will discuss it later in detail. Thank you very much.